Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are joined by our friends and our amazing coach, Randy Swaim. Welcome back. How is Dallas treating you?
Well, pretty good right now. It's a little bit warmer than it was a week and a half ago, so it's doing
Aw,
good with that.
good.
And
Well,
it's
we're
always I've been here for a long time, so it's good to be here.
beautiful. Well, excited to see you here, and let's get right to it. I mean, for today, a lot of you who may not know our friend, Google him. You're going to see a lot on this man from his documentary, from his work, from his, you name it, his book, Coaching for Relevance. He does a lot, and he's always joining us and really helping us and very insightful to those working with teams, with leadership. So you better listen up. Randy, what's happening on this February 18th? What did you want to discuss for us today?
Well, what I was going to do, and I think it's something that I may have mentioned about 2 years ago or something, but it's a very good thing that I've seen with one a manager and everything, which needs to be a little bit different and stuff. And so um, what I'm going to kind of bring in, and there's some hints at it from neuroscience and from a coaching perspective when you're working with your team effectively to really get them developed to be able to reach radical success sometimes even when you're not there. And so I was going to bring a couple of just a couple of things on that sometimes people don't think about.
All right, let's get started. Teach us, make us dig deep
Okay.
into our thinking tanks. Go ahead. I got my thinking cap on and my headphones.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll start out by just simply saying this: that if you look at a lot of managers out there that are just kind of their whole mindset is that they're just supposed to dictate and control the people that work for them and things like that and stuff. But what they're doing is they're taking the growth, the development, the real development of success and all this and throwing it in the trash can. And and you don't want to do that when you're a leader. And in fact, last week, I was talking about just within the last week or so, I mentioned
Mm-hmm.
how you got to realize that your benefit is really forward. It's what is left into the future, not something that you try to get applauded for something you did back in the past, but it's making a difference in the future, even when you're not here anymore. And that's the key aspect of this, but this is also a key thing that's aligned to it, what I'm going to bring today. And so I'll bring that, and and any questions you can kind of mention it, we can kind of discuss it or whatever. But many managers, when you look at what they're doing when they're kind of connecting with their team members and the people that work for them, all they're doing is they're somewhat coming to their team and sort of telling them what to do, and they're keeping a certain mindset that that in their mind hopefully brings it across to their team that this is what we have to do, kind of thing, and sometimes a manager will sit there and try to um, hint at maybe one factor that we have to be aware of or something like that. But what they do is
Yeah.
they don't kind of mention it. They don't kind of engage their people. They simply come to it and point it out and say, do this, do this, do that, kind of thing, or whatever, and this is what we need to do right here, right now, kind of thing.
Yep.
And that is the dysfunctional way where you're not building the future and the real success and the real development and all of that in the team or the people that you are working for. And one of the things that I kind of bring out is you got to bring, if you're going to be a true leader, you have to bring it's not just about you trying to take credit for what you do. Sure that like in military combat or something, if it's a factor where some very time critical things are happening right now,
Yeah.
yeah, you may have to just kind of state it and lead it and guide it and everything, and then chat about it later, but as to the whys and all that kind of stuff. So that if in that kind of a situation, if that's what you're part of right now, that can be a real big challenge. But the thing about it is,
Mm-hmm.
that's not what you want to be your main central
No.
thing. One of the things that you have to do, you have to understand this aspect of bringing sort of a coaching approach so that your people really develop and become, but also my neuroscience aspect, as you know, being a master level neuroscience, a neuroplastician with NPN Hub over in Germany and everything, it has this aspect of the brain. And one of the things when you're talking about leading your people, one of the things you need to get going in your people is this processing in their
Mm-hmm.
brain. It's not just going with rote, superficial
Yeah.
academic things. And so, if all you're doing is coming in and just telling them what to do, you're shutting their brains off. You're shutting their growth off. You're shutting the
Yeah.
true success off. You're shutting the future success off in doing it, because they're just kind of closing their mind and says, okay, this is what they told us to do, so this is what we'll do. You don't want to do that, particularly when you're talking about an organizational maneuverability concept, which is the
Yep.
concept that's approved for me and all. And it's an aspect about how everything is not just rote academic. Yet in a situation or in a journey that you're on, there are factors that come on scene that surprise everybody
Mm-hmm.
that you would have never guessed, perhaps. And when that happens, you have to be ready to truly get the right stuff going. And that's something that's a key aspect of it. But when you're talking about your leaders and what you're trying to do with your team, the central and key aspect that you need to be aware of in order to make that happen positively in a good way is those two concepts that I mentioned about
Yeah.
coaching, the coaching
Mm.
aspect, the coaching approach, and the neuroscience awareness of generating the processing in their minds. And I've seen some leaders that think it's my, I'm supposed to ask a good question or something, and they just ask a simple question, but then they tell the answer right then and there, kind of thing. And something, that can be a challenging point
Yeah.
when you're talking about really trying to develop your team, develop the people that are working for your organization so that they are becoming even better and your organization is better going forward and all of that. All of that can be huge. But one of the things that you have to do as the leader in the group is you have to kind of have a sense and clarity on what are the right questions that you can answer or that you can ask. And you know what? The questions that you ask, it's not, it's very often people will ask a question, but what they do is they ask it in a superficial way that forces the person to give them the answer that they want. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking
Yeah.
about is asking the challenging questions that get them thinking and processing and all of that. And if they're not sure of the answer right then, it's not
Mm-hmm.
just you telling them what to do, but it's you stepping in and saying, "Well, I tell you what do you think the answer might be? What are the factors that might determine what it would be? What do you look for in this?" And get them sort of processing that a little bit as they're going through it into this aspect of having some awareness and getting a picture of what they think the answer is. Now, if they give an answer that's not really aligned with what's important with your team right now,
Yeah.
what you might say is, that is one factor. What other factors? What other things do we need to be aware of right now?
Yeah.
Now, in my mind, as a leader, I kind of have an idea on it. Now, if they just don't have any clue about it, that's a challenge and that's a problem. And that's something that you got to work on going forward and developing them. But depending on the time aspect, you may have to step in and say, well, here's one thing we want to be thinking about and bring up the point, bring up the factor on it or whatever. But you can also say, what else? What are other factors that come on scene on
Yeah,
this? What are you going to be looking for? And what do you need to be ready for? And that, sometimes they'll come up with a factor you didn't think about, but it's a
true.
really key factor. And one of the things you can do, one of the questions, and I've actually asked somebody this years ago, kind of thing, in aviation, and I said, "Good. Well, I'll tell you what. If that comes on scene, what do you need to do?
Yeah,
What do you need to do about it?" And I get them thinking about it instead of me just freaking telling them. Now, they may come up with some good positive aspects about it that sort of answer those questions, but they may have missed one point. And what I can do is just show in one point with it and say, you know
yeah,
what? Everything you said is right, buddy. You're right. But you know what? You may also consider this just as a thought, and all that. And and so this aspect of a lot of people don't fully understand. There are times where when you're working with your team and trying to truly develop their awareness, their clarity, their
mm-hmm.
strategic vision, and all of that, there's a sense where they have to sit there and to a short bit go like this and just sort of go, um, boy, yeah, and give some thinking to it. And as the leader, you have to allow them a certain little bit of time there to let that thinking happen and see what they come up with. Because sometimes that is the key that a lot of people don't realize. And but it's a real key aspect that is this, like I say, it entertains these two aspects of the coaching approach, but also the neuroscience and the mental processing and the learning. And why is it important for their mental processing to take place?
Yeah,
Because guess what? When the factors come on scene, they've already thought through some of the factors that maybe they weren't quite aware of. But you know what? I know what I can do, and I know what we're going to do. Yeah, we're going to do this and get it taken care of and get it successfully encountered and things of that nature. And so it's real key, like I said, when you're talking about this. And if all you're doing is telling them
yeah,
and shutting their brain off and just telling them what to do and all this kind of stuff,
mm-hmm.
guess what? Their brain is not developing, it's not practicing, it's not turning and really, envisioning and things of that nature. So guess what? Maybe a few weeks down the road when another situation comes on scene that's similar,
Yeah,
they won't have the same factors in mind. What they may do is they just say, "Oh, okay, well here's what the boss said," and just they shut their brain off and they just go, do this," and you know what? It might not work. And you'd be surprised at how many people I have heard in an industry do things where they just go, okay, well, here's what we got to do, and this, that, and all that. And when it doesn't work, instead of having clarity on why what they did was not overly successful, what they did is they just blamed it on everything else. And it's like, it's an aspect that sometimes people, if you're not bringing this, this coaching perspective and the neuroscience awareness
yeah,
to developing your team and helping them be ready for the different results and what's going to happen there and all. You have to understand that you're hurting your team, you're hurting your company, and you're limiting the possibility of your success. And so it's not just about you telling them what to do, which is what a lot of people do now. They'll sit there and they'll say, well, hey, do this because this, and this. And they just kind of throw factors that they
yeah,
want at you, kind of thing. But you know what? You're not helping their development.
mm-hmm.
And that's a key thing on it, that when you're talking about doing this with your team and preparing your team, because a lot of this, guess what? A lot of this happens prior to the point where you got to do that right now. And one of the things that as a leader you can do great is that you end up asking and, some of the questions and all that kind of stuff, and you get them thinking even before they need to do that. So they gain some awareness and some development on it and everything. And so it's just a key aspect that when you're talking about leading your team in sometimes somewhat challenging situations and challenging environments. And I don't mean life threatening, but I mean,
Mm-hmm.
in aviation, guess what? If some challenges are coming in, it could be kind of thing.
Yeah.
But just in terms of trying to gain your success at it, um, if all you're doing is just telling your people what to do and just, you know, sort of in your mind complimenting yourself, you're not really getting the job done. And
Yeah.
because you want your people to be able to make the right decisions and the right assessments in the midst of unexpected factors that can come on scene sometimes. And you know what? With that, there's a process of actually growing your people and developing your people and all that. And so it's just a key aspect about that that sometimes people don't think about. And when you're a leader, you got to look at how you're going to be doing that, um, and uh, and how you're going to really be developing your team in such a way where maybe one day, even when you're sick, they do something and the whole company is blown away positively by the amazing results of what they did, kind of thing. And that's just a key aspect of this whole aspect. So it's not just about the road academic thing, and it's not just you having them shut their brain off or whatever and just telling them what to do. It's about this aspect of bringing the coaching aspect to your team and also some of the neuroscience awareness to it, just so they understand the development and the uh, thinking and the processing that's happening in their brain. Is it valid? Is it right? Are you getting to the right solution on this that can have radical results? And if they can do that, when you're not having to just tell them what to do, amazing things can happen. And you know what? The organization is even better when they go forward because guess what?
Yeah.
They're much more practiced at it. They're much more ready for it. And so when you're talking about leading your team on that, it's just one aspect about it. And like I said, as I mentioned last week, you're talking about the aspect of leaving the value forward even after you're no longer here. That's how you do that. And that's how, because guess what? When they're passing on what they had developed and learned and are aware of and had their good processing and their good decision making going forward, amazing things can happen even if you're not a part of it anymore. And
Yeah.
so uh, it's just this one aspect that sometimes people don't think about. And like I said, it's just the hint of bringing um, the coaching perspective, but also the neuroscience expertise and the awareness of the brain and what it's doing and how it works, how it can get in the way, and how it's not getting in the way, and how it's really getting to success, kind of thing, and having some clarity on that. So you do it in such a way that
Yeah.
possibly amazing things happen.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's just what I was going to kind of bring out today. It's this aspect of that, and as a leader, are you developing all of that really in your team, or are you just shutting their brain off and just telling them what to do, which is what some people do, and that's not what you want in your managers or your people. And you want something where you really get those wonderful conversations between them, and they get real success out of it, and they get real awareness that they may not have had before about the actual situation and what we really need to do and things of that nature. So just something to think about on that. It's just one aspect of this whole aspect of coaching and neuroscience, but bringing it into this aspect of what are you really doing and how are you really doing it, either bad, negatively, or positively in getting your team really growing and really being able to make amazing choices.
wow. Thank you for that. And also, speaking of choices, a lot of us got to be held accountable for our choices. Sometimes we make the
Yep.
wrong choices, but how does that make us grow as a leader, right? Because we don't always make the right choice.
Yep. Well, I tell you what, as a leader, I will just throw this out to you. One of the things that, is kind of wild when you're talking about being a leader, if you made the wrong choice on one aspect at one time, guess what? If all you're doing is trying to hide that and throw it in the trash and just pretend that I tried to do it and all this kind of stuff, guess what? You're not getting the job done really. When you're
Yeah.
talking about leading your team, if there's
Mm-hmm.
the time when a negative thing happened, but I was part of it because I maybe wasn't aware of it or because
Mm-hmm.
I
And
did something
maybe.
wrong with it, I got to be honest with it. And I
Yeah.
got to be honest about my part of it.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Your team then realizes that you are trustworthy, that you are truthful, that they can be honest about things that they needed to do better, but you're modeling good leadership for them. And so, like you said, that can happen sometimes when it's a rapidly changing, unpredictable environment. But the organizational maneuverability thing. But the bottom line is, to what extent are you did a decision that you made was not a great
Yeah.
one, and how are you really going to communicate that with your team? It's not that you got to go out and tell everybody on planet Earth, but
Hmm.
the people that were depending on you, the people that were working with you,
Yeah.
um, you can, and it's one thing to be able to, you don't have to say, well, boy, I screwed this up and did and all that kind of stuff. No, but you know what? What you can do is say, you know what? This is one thing that I didn't have at the moment, and I needed to. And you know what? That's something that I'm going to keep in mind going forward because that was the one thing that
Yeah.
caused me to not do what I needed to do at that moment. And so I was aware of that, and I learned from that. And you know what? And if your team is there, and you look around and you say, so let's all learn from that, from what I did, and let's all be aware of that as we go forward. And you know what? They respect you because of your honesty. And if you got a situation where something's happening like that, guess what? That's what you can do. Part of a key part of being a leader is when you have to be very honest sometimes, even with yourself and with your
Yeah.
team, about something that happens like that. And if they did the mistake, you can kind of point it out to them. But if you're attacking them for it, you're not getting the job done. If you're helping them get clarity on the learning aspect of it and what they need to do different, positive things can happen. And so, just a couple of things with that, like you said, if you had something that was not good.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, we still have a few more minutes left in the show, Randy. 4 more minutes to be exact. Anything else new in the world that you want to share, talk about, catch us up, fill us in on?
Well, I tell you what, there's just a lot of the stuff that, as you well know, is I'm always glad to be on the PBNN show with you and all that. But as you mentioned at the very beginning, the uh, the my autobiography is on Amazon. I know that the Hollywood movie documentary of my life story is out there, published on YouTube, and they're actually working on getting it on Amazon. And the marketing people are looking at getting it out there and everything. And they think that the value of it is pretty amazing. And I will tell you this: that some of the people that have purchased the movie on YouTube and watched it, their comments have been a little bit amazing. And
Yeah.
so it's just a very good movie. But all of that in my work over at the airport and developing pilots and flight crews and jet pilots and all that, and all the little leadership bits and all this kind of stuff. Uh, Very humble. And but yeah, I'm humbled that the autobiography is out there and people can purchase it and read it, and also movie documentary on YouTube.
Yeah.
Is a is one place where people can go and purchase it right now. And so I just I'm humbled with comments that people have made about when they watched it. And so it's very honored on that and humbled.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Randy. And also to check out the documentary, where can we find it? Where can we see it? Obviously, if you're not watching right now, you can't see what's behind you. What's the website?
Well, I'll tell you what you can do is go on my website, the Coaching for Relevance website,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, uh, and I could probably share this. We don't have time, but I could share the screen and kind of bring it up. But if you go to the homepage of my coachingforrelevance.com website,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see it on the homepage because there's a picture of a military pilot with his helmet flying in a jet like this, kind of thing, and it has my logo up there and all this. But if you scroll down that page a little bit, about halfway down the page, one of the things that you get, one of the things that you see is it brings up the link where you can click on the Bring Freedom to Potential movie documentary, and there's a little link over there that says you can either rent or purchase it, and you click on it and you can purchase it, and it'll be it'll be sent to you. And
Yeah.
so yeah, just that's and there's one on the movie documentary. As you scroll down, the first one you come to, which is a big square like this kind of thing, um, that has a kind of an image on it and all that, is the Hollywood movie documentary. And then down below that, when you go to the next one, it's the autobiography. But both of those are on the homepage of my website. And again, it's coachingforrelevance.com, and honored to be there with it.
Oh, thank you so much, Randy, and have a fantastic rest of your day. And looking forward to next week. And here in New York, things are starting to thaw a little bit. We're feeling a little bit warmer. It's been quite a cold few weeks, like record breaking, right? And what
Yep,
about in
yep.
Dallas? Was it as cold? I mean, it wasn't as cold, but are you still breaking, setting records down there too, with how cold it's been for
No,
you all, or no?
not right now. It's actually the sun's out there right now. Not a whole lot of clouds, and I mean, it's a little bit cool, yeah, but and all this kind of stuff. But is it bitter cold? No, not at all.
Got it.
And so there's no ice on the roads, no snow or anything like that. So
All
makes it pretty
right.
straightforward.
All right. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you. Stay warm, stay cool, everyone. And God bless. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Randy.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.